And welcome to Under Center with Kirk Cousins.
Cousins from under center, straight drop, it's another deep shot. Center of the field, caught it on the run, 20, 15, 10, touchdown!
And welcome back to the first episode of Under Center with Kirk Cousins for the 2020 season with Mark Rosen. Under Center is proudly presented by Fleet Farm this season. And Kirk, like everything else, it's all done remotely this year. I'm at the KFAN studios. You, of course, are at TCO Performance Center in Eagan. If you could, we use that term new normal. If you could kind of take us through, as NFL teams are creatures of habit, from a football organizational standpoint, what it's been like the journey from the Vikings having gone through to stay safe and get all the necessary work in as you get ready for Green Bay on Sunday.
Yeah, it's an interesting process, one that we've gotten very accustomed to over the last several weeks. But I remember back in March when the conversation first started that we might not be coming back to OTAs. And even then, I couldn't really believe it. But then suddenly we didn't have OTAs. And we showed up in late July. And there's a trailer set up in the parking lot of the practice facility to get a COVID test every time you walk in the building. And then we put a tracker on our wrist, one that I'm wearing right now. Which enables us to know if we're too close to other people for a prolonged time. There's arrows on the floors of the building to get around the building. So we're following all the protocols. We've done a great job with it. And it has, exactly like you said, become a new normal where we know to wear our masks. We know to keep our social distance. We know to go the right way through the building. And it's just kind of been accepted as normal now. And it's great to see that we've had so few positive tests and that we're moving towards having a somewhat normal regular season, although there won't be fans in the stands, and we can get to that for these first couple home games. It's great to see that football is going to be back in only a few days.
From a football standpoint, Gary KUBIAK is your new, and I use that term loosely, new offensive coordinator, 27 years in the business. You are not unfamiliar with what Gary expects from this football team and from you. How would you describe your relationship and potentially how it's sort of changing with his new role?
Well, it helped to be able to have continuity, and so much of our offensive staff is the same. There were some shuffling of some names, but to have so many familiar faces, a familiar system, I think that helps me. I think that helps our entire offense. Gary's obviously been around the block, knows what it looks like to be a great offense, and so we just have a lot of trust in him and want to do what he tells us and be coachable, and he will be demanding. He's going to set a high bar for all of us. There's a high standard, and if we aren't reaching that standard on any particular play in practice or meeting time, he's going to let us know. And I think that accountability helps quite a bit. It keeps everybody on edge, but it also enables us to reach our full potential. And our first test is Sunday.
Kirk, you know better than anyone else that the NFL is a business, and Dalvin Cook is sort of caught in a catch-22 right now. There's been some speculation about his contract situation, but that's off the field. But what have you seen from him on the field as far as where his skill set's at, where his determination, where his mind is at right now?
He looks like the same Dalvin Cook that I've known for my last two seasons here. If anything, more confident, more comfortable. Obviously, it's his second year in this system as well, and that enables him to really understand the protections, understand what it should look like. I expect him to take another step. I know that's maybe hard to believe because of how well he's played in the past, but I see him being even more comfortable this year, really being an all-around back for us, touching the football quite a bit.
Stephon Diggs, as we know, is in Buffalo. Adam Thielen is looking to bounce back from kind of an injury-plagued season. You added your number one pick, wide receiver Justin Jefferson from LSU. Let's just start with that discussion. What has impressed you about this young man from LSU?
Well, the line that comes to mind when I've been asked about him is that he's a natural receiver, and that may not be very telling, but I guess what I'm trying to say is all the things we're going to ask of him that are difficult, to make the tough catch, to get open versus tight coverage, doing those things comes naturally to him. And you love to see that because many times you'll try to get a great athlete and force him to fit into a position. And many times it's a square peg in a round hole and it just doesn't work. Justin is wired to be a receiver and it just fits him naturally. And so I expect him to make a lot of plays that would reflect that. Much like any other rookie, there's going to be growing pains early on in the season, especially in a year like this year with no preseason games, no OTAs. But as we move through the season, we just expect him to grow and lean on him quite a bit.
Your connection with Adam Thielen is well known. That pass, I think Viking fans and you finally remember the playoff game, which set up what turned out to be the game-winning touchdown in that playoff game. Is he chomping at the bit to kind of have that durable, exceptional season now to come back from the injury?
Yeah, and getting to know Adam over the last few years, he's chomping at the bit just to compete and to play, period. He's made the comment on several occasions that there's nothing he enjoys more than just going outside, running routes, catching the football, competing against somebody. And that includes practice. That includes, doing drills at Woodbury High School in the off season in the summer. So, he can't wait to get out there, although he feeds off the crowd's energy. So he said, it's not going to be the same without the crowd in US Bank. That being said, yes, he's one of our team leaders, veteran player, and we'll be leaning on him quite a bit, especially right out the opening game.
Yeah, the offensive line gave you even better protection last year. They've kind of shuffled the deck a little bit, added a couple different pieces. Riley Reif has come back. What are your thoughts about some of the guys I know you're real close with, from Brian O'Neill to Elfline to Garrett Bradbury coming back for his second year?
I'm thrilled with our offensive line. Great to have Riley back. Great to have so many players up front who you've counted on in big moments before. Obviously players get dinged up, and so you look and say, well, what kind of depth do we have? And I feel great about the depth as well, of who we can lean on were there to be an injury, heaven forbid. So, I like our team, but I especially like our offensive line. And along with Dalvin, along with our coaches and the scheme, they were probably as big a reason as any that we ran the ball so well last year. And we're going to ask them to do it again and make it happen again in 2020.
It's Packer Week, always a special week, like no other regular season game, but this too is not going to be the same with no Vikings or Packer fans at US Bank Stadium on Sunday. The fans, of course, have been a big reason why the Vikings have had such a home field advantage. Is that totally negated? What are your thoughts about just that whole atmosphere and what it's going to be like on Sunday?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you more. I think the fact that it'll be my first time in this type of setting, I'm even a little unsure as to what it'll feel, look like. I'm aware of when I call the play in the huddle, if it is quiet, needing to be quiet, calling the play so that the defense doesn't hear anything that would give them a tip. So you're just aware of the changes, and then you got to go play and understand that regardless of what's outside of the white lines, inside of the white lines, it's still professional football, and it's going to take the exact same traits that it always takes.
Kirk, you're coming off your best season of your 8-year career. Looking at the stats, over 3,600 passing yards, 26 touchdown passes, only 6 interceptions. What do you feel you need to even improve on when you kind of take a step back, as you have during the offseason and now leading up to this week against Green Bay?
I think for me, and it's a fine line, but just trying to become more of an off-schedule player. It doesn't mean you're going to reinvent the wheel, be a totally different quarterback, but just when the opportunity presents itself, there's a chance to run, a chance to scramble, a chance to give up on the play that was called for good reason and go create one of your own, go make that play happen. And I remember when I met with Fran Tarkenton in the offseason a couple of years ago, that was really his message to me was, hey, you have enough athleticism to be a bit of a scrambler and a running quarterback, go do it. And so, I'm going to pick my spots or be aware of when I can do it and hopefully, look back at the end of the year and say, hey, that was an area of my game that I took another step in. And if I can, I think it'll really help us as an offense and as a team.
What do you like about this football team and why do you feel confident the Vikings can win this division this year?
Well, I believe in the people around me, and that includes coaches. I look around the building, and there's a lot of people that I believe in that in a tough moment, in a tough game, I will pick to go in with me and have to get the job done. So, and that includes guys on the defense, guys on special teams. When you have confidence in the people around you, that's kind of where you derive that belief and that confidence. So I like our group, and it's the group I can't wait to get to work with on Sunday.